Hey, it's Trent Hiott here with Sky Insurance Tech, and if you've been following us at all, you know that we work in the insurance industry, and we have this channel where we want to focus on healthcare trends, healthcare topics, but one of the things we want to cover too is entrepreneurship, money and money management, motivation, those types of things. So today I want to talk about taxes.
Hey, if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing. Give us a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let us know what type of content you'd like to see us cover next. Thanks.
Now, we work with large employers to help them in the tax field with things like the employer mandate. But what I want to talk about really has to do with personal taxes. We work with a lot of people in the insurance industry that are self-employed, employee benefit brokers, people who work for insurance companies, all of the, you name it, we work with them, third-party administrators, benefits administrators, all these sorts of things. But all of us, no matter what industry we fall under, we pay taxes. So from an individual level, we could all benefit from diving into that topic just a little bit deeper. So hopefully I can offer some insight. The disclaimer here, we are not tax professionals. This is not tax advice. You should not act on anything that I am saying. Rather, consult with a licensed professional, a CPA. But this is for educational purposes only. These are things that I learn. I'll express opinions that are my opinions only, and they're not even necessarily the opinions of Sky Insurance Technologies. This is Trent Hiott talking here. But there are some things that I have learned that I think are beneficial and that you can really take advantage of with regard to taxes personally. And I want to share some of those with you today. So I hope you enjoy. All right, so if you're under the sound of my voice, most likely you pay taxes. And so we really have to think about the purpose of taxes. And this is one of the things that's been a challenge for me recently, is kind of rethinking taxation. And so I'm going to start off with the question, taxes, what are they really for? So we know that this is how our government makes money. They make money through taxation and penalties. Some of us have been unfortunate enough to be on the receiving end of tax penalties, and those are not fun, and you will pay them, or else you will go to jail. And so one of the things that I have learned recently and really looking into is, taxes, but why? Other than funding, are there other things that taxes accomplish? Certainly so, and I won't be able to get into all of those details, but I was thinking about how we have a legal system that creates laws, and we must abide by those laws. But are there other ways to get people as a whole, let's just say the American public, to abide by certain rules? Can you incentivize the American people through things outside of the legal system to do certain things? And that's where this question really comes back into play. The government can actually incentivize you to take certain steps and certain actions through the tax system, and they are doing this. So if you really want to get down into my opinion of what's going on here, there are things that the government is very clearly incentivizing us to do. And if we comply with those things, it can help us reduce taxes and increase, make that an arrow, our wealth. All by really playing by the rules. So as an entrepreneur myself, and I think that a lot of the people probably watching this are entrepreneurs or have some type of side hustle per se where they are an entrepreneur, they have an LLC or an S-Corp or something like that, something that you're doing. I'm always interested in reducing my tax burden. The more taxes I pay, the less I take home to the family, right? And so my goal is to make as much money as possible and to keep as much money as possible. Understanding taxes in the tax law is one of the best ways to do that. So if we look at how to minimize taxes and increase wealth, one of the first things I challenge you with is really look at what does the government want you to do with your money. Really, what do they want to accomplish? So let's look at what the government wants. And I would say that there's multiple things here, but there's two things that I would go into. The first is to create jobs. Okay, so let's have that here. We'll say that the government wants to create jobs. And the next is to create affordable, we'll just say affordable housing. So how do we accomplish this? Well, who creates jobs? Well, now we're getting into like a political argument, but I'll just state my opinion. The number one source of jobs is through entrepreneurship. It's through businesses. Okay? So we create jobs by starting businesses, creating employment opportunities, right? And then how do we create housing? Well, that's pretty simple. It's real estate. So if we go back to what the government wants, and that is to create jobs and create housing, then would they not incentivize you to participate in business, in real estate? Okay, those are just two, but I'm going to focus on just those two. So that then begs the question, how are they incentivizing business in real estate? And that's one of the things I want to get into in this video, is how you can take advantage of the fact that the government wants to create jobs and create housing, how you can funnel your money into those types of things, and how you can get rewarded through that by paying less taxes while creating wealth. One of my favorite pastimes is to read, and one of my favorite authors is Robert Kiyosaki. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, his most famous book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but the follow-up to Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the Cashflow Quadrant. And really quickly, I want to hit on that just because there's a lot of value to be added to this conversation if we tie that into lowering taxes and increasing wealth. So the Cashflow Quadrant looks something like this. Again, this is not my doing. This is Robert Kiyosaki put this in his book. But essentially, he's saying that if you are having income of some sort, you're going to fall into some place on the cash flow quadrant. The first place is E, and that's going to stand for employee. All right? If you're a W-2 employee, you work for a corporation, you have a job, you are an employee, you make your money this way. The next thing is to be a self-employed individual. Right? So you may be self-employed. All right? So that is an individual who has a business, but they have to be present in order for their business to run. So they're incorporated, but it's really a one-to-one type of thing. If they were to leave the business would not function without them. All right? So this is self-employed. Now here we have B as business owner. Okay, so I'll just business owner. This will be a little bit different than the self-employed because this, as a business owner, the objective is to have a business that can operate without you being present. That's the difference in this S and the B, okay? So we have employee, self-employed, in which you must be present in order for your business to sustain itself and to operate, and a business owner in which you can get the business up, it can become operational, and you can actually leave, and the business will continue to run itself and create cash flow. And the last area is investor, all right? So this is investor. And here, this is how you can set up passive income. Now, my opinion is that passive income is, again, another soundbite that people say all the time. Income is very, very rarely passive. Even passive income requires effort, continuous effort in maintenance, right? However, this is a way to get exponential growth, exponential returns in passive income is very important, but I'll try to stray away from using passive income as a term just because it can take on so much meaning to various people. But business owner and investor, and what Robert Kiyosaki really incentivizes in his books is to try to align yourself on the business owner and investor side if you want to increase wealth. Well, previously I mentioned we wanted to create jobs, right? And create affordable housing for individuals. This is the side of the quadrant in which you would be able to accomplish those things. So as a business owner, you can be a business owner that creates jobs for multiple people. And if you do, the government will reward you by helping you lower your taxes in an effort to create jobs, right? If you're an investor, if you're someone who invests in the development of real estate, if you invest in rental homes, not even the development of them, but just owning them, and improving those types of things. There's a number of different ways to get involved in real estate. Apartments, homes, single family, it goes on and on. But as an investor, there are tax incentives for doing that as well. So that is how what I initially covered comes into the cash flow quadrant, and Robert Kiyosaki is seconding that with what he has said. Whereas all of the tax breaks you're going to see over here as a business owner and as an investor, when you're an employee, you're going to pay passive income, not passive income, ordinary income. You're going to pay ordinary income, which is going to be the highest tax rate. And if you're self-employed, you're going to have self-employment tax. You're going to have anything extra going back into ordinary income. As a business owner, you're going to be able to take advantage of tax deductions, which I can talk a little bit further about. You're able to itemize deductions. You're able to pay those expenses before you even take an income. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but you're going to have tax deductions and tax incentives as a business owner. As an investor, you're going to be able to take advantage of not only the tax incentives that are offered to real estate investments, but even just capital gains. You're going to pay 20% on your investment income rather than paying your ordinary income rate, which can go, depending on your tax bracket, can go right on up to really close to 50%, depending on where your income lies. But in addition to that, ton of incentives. And what if you own a business that does investments? Now you're taking advantage of tax deductions, real estate deductions, you're getting long-term capital gains taxation. And so we don't have to get very far into this rabbit hole for you to see there's a lot of incentive to align with the right side of this quadrant as a business owner and investor. I've talked about real estate, but you can also apply this to the stock market. You could apply this to investing in a number of different forms, but there does seem to be a lot more incentives for real estate, just because we go back to the fact that the government does want to create affordable housing. And so that's the big part of this. All right, so bringing all of this together thus far in an effort to decrease taxes and increase wealth. I talked about the cash flow quadrant. I talked about the government incentivizing us to create affordable housing and create jobs. But let's just look at what the average taxpayer's kind of tax hierarchy looks like versus someone who is a business owner or investor. So if you have the average taxpayer as an employee, the way that it looks is you have income, and this might look like this for a lot of the people watching. So you have income, and then you have taxes, and then you have expenses. All right, so that's the way that this looks. You have income, it goes to taxes and expenses. So you work a job, the job pays you, right? When the job pays you, your taxes are taken out of your check, and only then do you pay your expenses, right? Do you pay for the roof over your head? Do you pay for office supplies? Do you pay for trips? You pay for your vehicle? Any expense that you have will come typically post-tax. Now here is someone who is taking advantage of the tax law. So we'll say a business owner / investor. This is what theirs looks like. They start off with income, okay? That's money through the door, right? But then they have expenses. Notice that was 1, 2, 3. Here we've moved our expenses to the number 2 line item. And only then do we pay taxes. We pay taxes last. Taxes come at number 3. What does this allow you to do? What it allows you to do is to pay your expenses with pre-tax money, not post-tax money. So the pool of money that you have to pull from to pay your expenses is much larger. And what happens is your expenses become tax deductions. Why? Because the government is incentivizing you to spend your money on certain things when you are aiming to create things that are in line with what they want you to create. That's the take home from today's video. We're going to follow this video up with a little bit more actionable items that you can do with regard to real estate. I personally have spent a large amount of time in the financial markets looking at different securities and investing long-term there. We can cover some things there, but this is the overall idea. So the take-homes, the government is incentivizing you to take certain actions. They're incentivizing you by reducing your taxes while giving you the opportunity to create wealth. Pay attention. Consult with your tax planner, your tax advisor, CPA, whomever you go to. Figure out how you can order this way: income, then expenses, then taxes. What does that look like for you? You're always going to be at a disadvantage as long as you are paying your income first, then your taxes, and then your expenses.